Hello everyone, welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do these 10-minute weekly reviews and from the comfort of my home, and it's based off my interests. Thank you everyone for joining me each week as we push through. Last week we talked about the dinar being the strongest in years, the exchange rate, and the U.S. Federal Reserve. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. Baghdad Magazine News reports Siemens plans to expand its cooperation with Iraq by developing projects with a capacity of more than 6 gigawatts in the next 5 years. A Siemens energy spokesman told Reuters that this would include, among other things, the construction of power plants as well as the development of renewable energy sector and the stabilization of the power grids. A spokesman added that the company's CEO, Christian Broch, plans to sign a memorandum of understanding on those plans with Iraq's electricity minister Akkad on Friday. Having a reliable energy source is the foundation for a stable society. Broch told Reuters, supply large parts of the entire country with electricity is therefore one of the company's most important tasks. The company will look to ensure this is achieved as quickly as possible with its partners in Iraq, he says. The current roadmap is linked to 2019 agreement, which includes projects with more than 223 gigawatts. The company says Iraq's Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani will visit Berlin on Friday with a high-level delegation where he's scheduled to meet the German chancellor. Twilight News reports the exchange rate of the U.S. dollar against the Iraqi dinar fell on Thursday on the main stock exchange in the capital Baghdad and in the Kurdistan region. The correspondent of Shafaq News Agency said that the Central Al-Kifa and Herthia exchange in Baghdad recorded this morning 157,200 Iraqi dinars compared to 100 U.S. dollars. Prices on Wednesday morning were 159,950 dinars for 100. Our correspondent pointed out that the prices of the buying and selling stabilized in the banking shops in the local markets in Baghdad, where the selling price was 157,750 Iraqi dinars per every 100 US dollar, while the purchasing price amounted to 156,750 Iraqi dinars per 100 US dollar. In Erbil, the capital of the Kurdistan region, the dollar price on the stock exchange also recorded a decline, with the selling price of 157,250 dinars per every 100 US dollar, and the purchasing price was 157,200 dinars per every 100 US dollar. Earth News reports the House of Representatives announced on Thursday the agenda of the session for Saturday. The media department said in a statement reported to Earth News that the agenda of the session includes voting on the new deputy in the Parliamentary Committee and the first reading of the draft law on communications and informatics, as well as discussing the draft law of the Fourth Amendment to the investment law for the private and mixed sector within the agenda of the Parliament session. It is hoped that the session of the House of Representatives will be held Saturday at 11 a.m. Shafaq News reports independent MP Yasser al-Hassani announced on Thursday the completion of the draft budget law for 2023, which will be discussed at the next cabinet session, while First Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Mazen al-Mandawi urges the government to expedite the approval of the budget. The Ministry of Finance has completed the final draft of the general budget law for the year 2023 and is expected to send to the General Secretariat of the Council of Ministries next week. Hassani told Shafaq News Agency that next week the session of the Council of Ministers will witness the discussion of the budget law and then the vote on the law and then send it to the House of Representatives, noting that the total amount of the budget exceeds 140 trillion dinars with a fiscal deficit of more than 30 trillion dinars, while the calculation of the price of the barrel of oil at $65. In turn, First Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mazen al-Mandelawi, called on the government to expedite the submission of the budget law to the House of Representatives for a vote. The Mandelawi Information Office said in a statement received by Shafaq News Agency that later met with the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, to discuss a number of files and priority issues. Al-Mandelawi stressed that the need to expedite the completion of the draft budget law for the current year, send it to the House of Representatives for an inclusion in the agenda, read it first, reading and making amendments to it before submitting it to be vote, and to emphasize the inclusion of the contract holders, lecturers, holders of the highest certificate, for students and other various segments of the society within its provisions. Let's keep going. Twilight News reports the Kyrgyzstan regional government announced on Wednesday that its president Mauzer Barzani and Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani agrees to resolve the differences and outstanding issues, including the financial budget file for 2023 and the oil and gas law in accordance with the permanent constitution of the country. Mauzer Barzani arrived earlier that morning in the capital Baghdad and met immediately upon his arrival with Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, where the meeting reviewed the most important files at the national level and ways of integration in the work of federal government and the Kyrgyzstan regional government in order to provide the best services to the citizens throughout Iraq's governance. According to the statement issued by the media office of the Iraqi Prime Minister, a statement issued by the Kyrgyzstan regional government said, witness a mutual and affirmation of the importance of solving problems between the Kyrgyzstan region and the federal government on the basis of the constitution and the ministerial curriculum. There are many ways to solve the problem if there is an intention to do so. The head of the Kyrgyzstan regional government said, we have agreement of the political parties and the government ministerial platform to solve those outstanding problems. For his part, the federal prime minister reiterated the strong desire to solve the problems between the Kyrgyzstan region and the federal government in the interest of all Iraqi citizens. Discussions mainly included the ongoing preparations for the draft federal budget law of 2023, the details related to share the Kyrgyzstan region and its financial dues from the federal budget. Steps to prepare the draft oil and gas law were also discussed, according to the political agreement of the parties that form the government and the ministerial programs. The two sides agreed on the need to solve problems and reach a solution to both files related to the general budget and oil and gas under the umbrella of the Constitution. The meeting also discussed the implementation of the constitutional Article 140, guaranteeing the constitutional rights of the Kyrgyzstan Peshmerga forces as part of the Iraqi federal defense system, as well as the implementation of the Sinjar Agreement, according to the statement of the Kyrgyzstan regional government. Baghdad Magazine News reports on Tuesday the Central Bank of Iraq sent a letter to the banks participating in the electronic platform. In a document seen by Magazine News, that the bank said, given that many inquiries have been received by importers, merchants, regarding the documents that are required to be submitted in return for financing their imports through their electronic platforms by the banks participating in it. The bank confirms that the documents required when the bank submits the transfers request via the electronic platform is the commercial list, and then the merchants can submit shipping documents for the imported goods during their post-transfer periods. The bank's media office said in a statement received by Al Sumaria News that the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Mustafa Ghalib, met with the head of the council and authorized directors of a number of banks and exchange companies to determine the priority of work, the direction that serves the Iraqi economy, the banking sector, and the requirements for working according to, he called on working in the banking sector to improve their businesses and serve their customers in accordance with the direction of the central bank in creating a real banking sector. The success of the banks and non-banks financial institution is a success for the central bank and a contribution to the march of the state to overcome the observation noted by the bank. The governor listened to the number of observations and proposals that will contribute to rising the performance of the banking sector in general. And lastly, Economy News Baghdad reports the Minister of Commerce on Wednesday detailed its plan to complete the requirements for Iraq's ascension to the World Trade Organization. The media center in the ministry told the official news agency that the committees of Iraq's ascension to the World Trade Organization, headed by the Minister of Commerce and the memberships of representatives of ministry and bodies, as well as the representatives from the private sector, is working to complete the requirements of Iraq's ascension to the organization. He pointed out that the ministry plans during the current year includes the completion of technical ascension files in terms of goods, services, and intellectual property, in addition to harmonizing legislation and laws with the agreement of the multilateral organization. He pointed out that the plan includes holding official meetings at the organization in Geneva and to help high coordination with member states that carry an economic weight in the organization to mobilize support, accelerate ascension procedures, and make Iraq an active member and a partner in making economic decisions and formulating trade policy that enhances Iraq's integration into the global economy. He pointed out that the Minister of Commerce confirms within the prepared plan the preparation of Iraq's negotiating team, which will conduct negotiating rounds with the member states of organizations by strengthening the negotiation capabilities of members and benefiting from the experience of countries. This is an important season for Iraq. The first time in 12 years, Iraq is making significant moves forward. You've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics Iraq. I bring you the latest Dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can leave a super chat or super thanks. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar news. See you next week. Take care.